you. So today we will start with our remaining two devices that I've told you in the earlier lecture. So in the previous one, we have discussed around four devices. The four devices were your repeater. Just wait a second. Okay, the four devices were your repeater. With the repeater, there is an extension of the repeater that is known as hub, and then there is extension of hub that is known as your bridge. Bridge is used to connect two different LANs, and then there is a switch. Okay, so again there is one another component that is your wire. Okay, so wire I will discuss deeply in your transmission medium. Okay, so all of these components when combined they are called your LAN components, or they are all these components are called your LAN components. Okay, you may have seen in all the layers the maximum they can reach is data link layer. Of that too, that this bridge can have a data link layer, a switch can have a data link layer. Okay, so I already told you that if you are working in a data link layer, it means that you are working in a Ethernet, or it means that you are working in a LAN area. Okay, so repeater or hub again they are again the part of the LAN component, and the wire is also a part of the LAN component. So wire, don't worry about the wire. I will discuss about this wire in quite a bit of detail. So the only difference between these two and these two are that they only contain physical layer and physical layer. These bridges contain data link layer as well. In the similar way, the collision domain here the collision domain is N, and here the collision domain in N. But the bridge, in the bridge, the collision domain is decreased. Okay, so I told you how it is decreased, and the switch, the collision domain is 0. Okay, so if I'm continuing further, keep in mind every other device have the feature that the device that is already discussed. Okay, so if I'm talking about a hub, the hub have all the features that are already discussed in the repeater. The bridge has all the features that are already discussed in the hub. The switch has already all the features that are already discussed in the bridge. Okay, so now the next part is your routers. Okay, so router, it's earlier we are only talking about LAN area, local area network. We are not connected to any internet, but in case of router, there is again one layer is also included there. So there is a network layer, data link layer, and your physical layer. Okay, so with the introduction of a network layer, the router is able to communicate via internet IP addresses. Okay, so that is the defining feature of router. So a router can transfer information across different networks. Okay, so it can interact with different networks. So I already told you what different networks mean, so refer to the first lecture. So because IP is a combination of a host ID and a network ID, so the router can go to a particular network, and inside that particular network they can go towards a particular host that is present inside that network. Okay, so again the defining moment here, because it has a network layer, so all the functionality of the network layer is also there with the addition of a data link layer. So it means that with the help of a network layer, it will have a source IP address as well as a destination IP address. Keep that in mind. Okay, so with the inclusion of network layer, it will have source IP address as well as a destination IP address. With the inclusion of a data link layer, it will have a source MAC address, and then it will have a destination MAC address. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so now what is the advantage of using the routers? So router again can connect to two different LANs or two different WANs also. Okay, so it can be used to connect LANs, and it can be used to connect your wide area network. So wide area network is your internet. LAN is your, you know about it, LAN, that is your local area network. Okay. So now what exactly is the advantage of routers also? So router can also connect to different type of LAN. Suppose I'll show you how it works. So suppose this is your Ethernet. So I'm again taking the same example that I've already discussed you. This is your router, and this is again different type of LAN. I'll call this LAN as token ring or a Wi-Fi. Okay, so I'm calling this a token ring. And what this router do, the placement of layers looks something like this. Okay, so the placement will be physical layer, then there will be a data link layer. Here also there will be a physical layer, there will be a data link layer, and there will be only one network layer. Okay, so just I show you how this works. Okay, so now I'll tell you about the advantages of router. Okay, so now you know that Ethernet, every Ethernet has a different frame format. Okay, so if you are working in a Ethernet has a frame format that is defined, uh, already defined here. So it has a particular frame format. This token ring has again a different frame format because it is different kind of a LAN, because I'm talking about in LAN. So it means I'm talking about in data link layer. It means that I'm talking about the framing part. Okay. So every LAN has already in every LAN there is already the type of frame that is already defined there. Okay. So if you are using Ethernet to Ethernet, the frame format will be similar. But if you are using Ethernet to token ring, so there is a router. So it can connect two different LANs. That is that we have already discussed that part in Bridge also. So Bridge also has this capability. Now what exactly is it do? But because you know that your communication will go through the physical layer and it will go through the data link layer. Okay, so when it goes through the data link layer, it will take a look inside this particular frame. So frame will contain source IP, destination, sorry, source MAC, destination MAC, and then there will be your data format. Okay, so when it looks like there are also another parts also, there is a SFD, there is end of the frame delimiter also. These are the part of the frame that is defined in the Ethernet. Suppose it is a part of the frame that is defined in the Ethernet, but this particular part is not understandable by the token ring because the token ring of format is totally different. So what this router do, it just convert this particular frame format into something that this particular LAN can understand this. So it is like a translator. It translate this frame format into a different frame format, so that your token ring can understand this frame format. So this is the best first advantage of a router, that if a frame format is different, it is able to translate the frame format for different for a different LAN as well. And the another advantage of this is MTU difference. Okay, so MTU difference means, so MTU means a maximum transmission unit. Maximum transmission unit. Okay, so it is most popularly referred to as MTU. It is okay. So suppose the MTU, the maximum transmission unit, that is already defined in the Ethernet is 200 bytes, and the maximum transmission unit that is defined in token ring is 100 byte. Okay, so when you send the message that is of 200 bytes to this particular router, the router when directly send without doing anything, if it directly send the message towards this token ring 200 bytes, the token ring cannot accept this message because maximum it can accept only 100 bytes of your MTU. So what this router do, because router has a network layer. Now the functionality of network layer comes into play. Because of the network layer, the network layer, it can perform something called a fragmentation at the router. So it is not at the source or the destination. This fragmentation can be performed at the router. So that is one of the main advantage of, because you know that network layer at the sender and receiver is already there. So there is no problem. But in between there is no kind of network layer exists till now. But with the introduction of a router, this router now is able to fragment the packets by seeing the MTU format of another LAN or another network. Okay, so it can also happen that the MTU size differs on the way, so it has to do fragmentation, and it has to do something called routing. Okay, so routing is to find the shortest path. I will tell you about it. Now what it do when the packet arrives, or 200 bytes, when it arrives to this particular router, it divides the packet into two parts, that is 100 and 100. Okay, so now it will send this packets 100 and 100. So this is your first packet, this is your second packet, towards this token ring. And in this token ring, this particular packets are meant for a particular host. So suppose this is a host. Okay, so when this particular packet reaches towards this particular host, so it will again have all the 7 layers, if you remember: the data link layer, physical layer, network layer, and then there is a transport layer, and then there is TSP. Okay, so there is session layer, presentation layer, application. I do not need to worry about that. These are the four layers that I need to worry about. Okay, so when the packet that reaches here 1 and 2, that the packet reaches at the network layer, it will be combined together to form again the 200 byte. Okay, so keep in mind that whatever you are doing at the sender side, it will again be completed at the receiver side. Okay, because the receiver contains all the layers, so it will also contain network layer. So at the sender side of the network layer, the packets are divided, and at the receiver side, reassembly will take place at the receiver side of the network layer. Keep that in mind. Okay, so because there is a network layer that is present there in the router, now it is a very new thing that a router can able to fragment the information into various smaller packets called fragments. Okay, so that is the main advantage of using routers. Okay, so with the introduction of a network layer, you know that actually that in the previous one that we do not have any data link layer, but with the introduction of a data link layer, we are able to look inside the MAC. Okay, so all the functionality of the data link layer comes into those devices that contain these data link layer. Okay, so every if so suppose that a switch has a data link layer, so it can also perform framing as well. So a switch on the basis that is why it's called an intelligent device, that a switch can also do a framing part as with addition to the sender and receiver, because it contains a data link layer. So in the similar way, the router, this is one of the defining feature, because earlier there was a very big problem that when you are sending from packet from one particular network to another particular network, on the way their MTU sizes is particularly different. Okay, so because the sender in advance cannot know the path that the router will follow earlier, because we were not using router, so we have to define a particular path, that this particular path will be followed every time when we send a packet from a sender, from a particular sender to a particular receiver. But but with this it means that the communication is not very optimized. Okay, so with the introduction of routers now, the routers now has a network layer. So with the introduction of network layer in your routers, the routers can do a fragmentation, and then the fragmented part, it is not necessary that these two particular packets will follow the same path. It can also happen these two particular, the first packet is following this path and the second packet is following this path, and they are reaching to a particular host unordered. So it can also happen that the second is received earlier and the first is received later. But it is the proper problem of a network layer, that how to assemble and arrange this particular thing. Okay, so again, transport layer has also some significance in that part, but I'll discuss about when I'm discussing segmentation and reassembling. That is in your third module of your syllabus. Okay, so that is your biggest advantage of the router. So all the functions that are already there, that is your forwarding, filtering is also there, flooding is also there. Flooding means that it can send the packet to all of the connected host at once. Okay, so this flooding is also referred to as broadcasting. Keep that in mind. If you want to broadcast by using a router, you can also do that. So that is also possible. But if you want to do if you do not want to do broadcast, you just want to send a particular message to only one router, you can also do that. If you want to send particular message to two different routers, that is also possible. Okay, so that is the main advantage of this router. Okay, so I'll also show the definition. Okay, so okay. Okay, so a router is a device. It is like a switch that routes data packets based on their IP addresses. So there is the introduction of your IP addresses. Keep that in mind. And now router is mainly a network layer device. Now there is an introduction of network layer. These two things, because of the introduction of a network layer, there is an introduction of your IP addresses. Okay, so router normally can connect towards LAN and WANs that I already tell you. So it can connect towards various LANs as well as to various different WANs that it can also be connected together. Okay, and have a dynamic updated routing table. So actually, the if you remember that the bridge connects and it maintains some table, so that is in the form of LAN. Okay, similarly the router also maintains something called a routing table. This routing table is very extensive because it contains all the information of the path. Okay, so because router how do I tell you that the router is not a simple device. If there are hundred and thousands of routers that are connected on the way, so this router has that information that which are the particular routers that are on there. So the table that the routing table that is formed in router is very detailed. Okay, so it takes a little bit of amount of time to understand this table, but I'll tell you there are also many ways to optimize this table. Okay, so that is how a particular routing means that to find a smallest path is done. Okay, so the routing table contains all the routing entries. That means that if you want to reach from a particular path from particular sender to a particular receiver, in between there are many paths that are available, many paths. So I'm only showing you 3 or 4, but actually there are like 1,000 or 10,000 or 1 lakh path to reach this particular receiver. So by looking every individual router has its routing table. Okay, so by looking at the routing table, you can decide, this router can decide which particular path is the best one. Okay, so I'll tell you about when I come to the with the different algorithms that are defined in the routing to decrease the distance of this communication. Okay, so just don't worry about it right now. Okay, so it again have a dynamically updating routing table. I know I told you that how do you dynamically update the bridge. In the similar way, it can do a dynamic updating the routing table, and they make decision on routing the data packets. Okay, router divides the broadcast domains of host connected through it. Okay, so it can also broadcast. I've already told you it can also broadcast, it meaning flood. It can send the packets to all of the devices that are connected to it. Either it can broadcast, it can also multicast, it can send to same packets to two or more devices, or it can send this particular packet to a single device. Okay, so that is point to point communication is also there. It can also do flooding and it can also multicast. Okay, so that is the advantage of router, so versatile. Now gateway. Okay, so gateway is also one step further than router. Actually it only contains additional functionality. It also contains network layer. It is not containing transport layer. So no device contains transport layer. Keep that in mind. Transport layer, you will always find transport layer on either on sender side or on receiver's machine. Okay, so you will not find a transport layer on any other device. that is right now used in the networking. Okay, so network layer, data link layer, physical layer, we already know about these particular three layers that are already used in the gateway. Now how the gateway is different from the router, because if you seen earlier, the router can only able to connect a different LANs or different WANs. Okay, so but actually the router is able to connect. Suppose this is a router and this is a network architecture. Suppose a particular network is followed, that is your TCP/IP. Okay, so a router is able to connect a TCP/IP with a TCP/IP. There is no problem in that. But suppose if there is another network, that is your ATM. So this is also another network architecture, and it is connected through a router. The router can also connect this ATM with this ATM. Okay, but the problem here is that router is not able to connect ATM with your TCP/IP. Okay, so the connection will not be there. Okay, so this is totally a different network architecture or a different protocol, and this is again a different architecture and a different protocol. So the router is not able to connect these two different networks by using by with the help of our network. So that is why we introduce something called a gateway. Now gateway is able to connect two different network protocols or two different network architectures. So that is why that is called your gateway. Okay, so gateway means that you need a gate to pass from one particular network that is totally different to another particular network that is also totally different. So what is the defining advantage of this gateway is it contains something called protocol converters. Okay, so protocol converter means that this particular gateway is able to because in ATM there are a different set of protocols, and in TCP/IP there is different set of protocols that we have discussed already. If in your lab you may have seen ICMP, this internet control messaging protocol, that in your lab you may have seen. Okay, so another one is your ARP. So these particular protocols are not particularly used in these ATM networks. So what does gateway do is again it tries to understand this particular network and tries to convert this all the protocols that are used there. It tries to convert in such a way that this TCP/IP can understand that what exactly there was in the ATM. So this is not the only advantage of a gateway. Apart from the protocol converter, it also has a very big advantage that it can do something called a proxy. Okay, so if you are a student and in earlier like 2012 13, what happens is that in colleges what they do, they introduce something called a proxy servers. Okay, so now this proxy server is able to monitor. So this proxy is able to monitor every byte of data that you are sending, every byte of data. Right now I think it's also possible that what you are doing on a college network, a network administrator can easily see that what particular sites are you accessing as a student. But this proxy server does not only has the capability to monitor every byte of data, but it also can the limit the data that you can use. So in the earlier that when we were in colleges like in 2011 12 13, what happens that the college will give you a Wi-Fi. Okay, so that Wi-Fi we always use college Wi-Fi to do internet surfing. But what was the problem there? So because at that time the internet was very costly, so we as a students are not able to afford the internet packs at that time. So we always rely on the college Wi-Fi to monitor or to surf or to search for any other topics that are discussed in the class. So what we do, there were also a problem that if the college do not want to uh, just the college do not want to purchase a very high internet package also. So what these proxy server do, they can limit the student usage to like 2 GB. Okay, so every day we got a limit, like you can use only 2 GB of the internet that you can access. So every student have different account. On that account there is the gateway is able to monitor that this particular student has consumed this much amount of data for this particular amount of time. Okay, so that is why these proxy servers becomes very popular, and that becomes the sole advantage of using a gateway. But gateway is again it's a very costly device, so it is not used like we use routers, but they are very well used in colleges and other companies also. So where we want to monitor the internet and where we want to see that what our employees are doing, gateway is the best way to do that. Okay, so this is also another advantage of gateway, but actually it comes due to the if we want to connect two different network protocols with each other, so that is the advantage of your gateway. Okay, so now in this particular topic that I have already told you, here I have told you that there is something, these five components are called your LAN component. Okay, so I have discussed about this four component, but I have not discussed about this fifth component. Okay, so if you have attended your lab, if you have attended your lab for this week, you may have seen there are some hardware devices like LAN tester, other things, wires also there. So the wires that will use in your practical in this lab, that will be unshielded twisted pair. Okay, so there are many different kinds of wire that are used for communication, and I will discuss about each and every wire in the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, there are advantages and disadvantages to every wire, so it is again depends upon the will of the user, that the will of the network engineer, that which particular wire it wants to use so that it can get the maximum out of the network. Okay, so now the transmission media is so particularly divided into mainly two parts. The first part is bounded or wired or guided media. It's also referred to as bounded or wired or guided media, or unguided or unbounded. Okay, so it is again referred to as unguided or unbounded. Okay, so guided media means that there will be a wire in now there are different kinds of wire here. The first is coaxial, fiber, twisted, and this twisted pair cable is divided into again two parts, that is your shielded and unshielded. Okay, in a similar way, coaxial is divided into two parts, your baseband and broadband. So the fiber optic one here, the fiber optic one is does not contain any type, so it only contains three component, and we will try to use it. Okay, so all of these wires that you are seeing, that wire will always be used for shorter distances. Okay, so because you know that when we cannot use wire for longer distances, so for like 10 kilometer, 20 kilometer you can use wire, but if your communication go way beyond that, you cannot use these wires, because there are many problems with the wire, that there are noises, and when you transmit the signal or to a very large length or a very longer distances, there is a problem of attenuation. Attenuation means that your signal strength got weak. You can also increase the signal strength by using some repeaters also, but still it is not preferred there. Okay, so if you want a longer communication, this is the media that we already used here. So that is your radio wave, microwave, and your infrared. Okay, so now this is the guided media. So guided media is also referred to as wired, bounded transmission media. Signals being transmitted are directly and confined in a narrow pathway by using physical links. Okay, so we only use physical link here. The features are it has a high speed, it is secure, but it will always be used for shorter distances. Okay, so the wired media is very rarely used for longer distances. I will tell you that which particular wired media is used for longer distances also, because it is one of the most reliable, I'll call reliable and high speed. So due to this particular strength of the guided media, we tend to use this particular media for secure and high speed communications. Okay, so now the first one is your twisted pair. So twisted pair is used in the frequency range of 3.5 kilohertz. Now it's again, I'll show you the diagram here. The word says a twisted pair. So here is a jacket, or it is also referred to as a plastic cover. Okay, so that every wire contains a plastic cover on the outer side, so that is your plastic cover, or it is also referred popularly known as a jacket. Okay, so now in this jacket, if you are seeing here, these are simple wires, but they are intertwined with each other, or they are just twisted in a certain way. Okay, so now what is the advantage of twisting a wire? So you may be thinking that why we have twisted the wire. We can directly use the wire something like this one. Okay, so this particular, there is one wire that is referred to as your that is used to send your messages, and the other wire is used as a ground reference. Okay, so ground wire is also used there. Okay, so now what is the why is this particular wire is twisted and intertwined with each other? Because if you see that if there is a wire, suppose this is the wire, and at a particular at around 1.5 kilometer, there was a source. Suppose this is the source that is causing, suppose this is causing disturbance. This is causing disturbance to this wire 1, and this is wire 2. This is causing disturbance to this wire 1. Okay, so due to the disturbance, the signals that are throwing through it, so 1011, so they got corrupted. So every 0 becomes 1 and every 1 becomes 0. Okay, so that is it does not mean that it will cause a very high disturbance, but it can cause a disturbance. So that is why I'm saying that due to this particular source, source can be anything. Okay, this source can be a very loudspeaker that is placed near the wire, so it can also affect it. A very what do you say, another electromagnetic device that emits magnetic radiations. Okay, so if it emits electromagnetic impulses, so I'll call it EMI, electromagnetic impulses, that can also affect this but the signals that is transferring through that wire. Okay, so now in order to tackle this, what we have done, we have intertwined the wire with each other. Now what will happen is that after the same, if there is a same source, now it is affecting the wire. This is your wire 1, this is your wire 2. So this is affecting this wire 1 for a shorter amount of time. Now the what do you say, now the wire is changed here. Okay, so now the wire becomes uh, what do you say? Okay, so what do I say? Yeah, okay, so it is, suppose this is your source that is affecting it. So actually it is affecting here for a little amount of time, and then it is affecting this wire for a little amount of time. So this is a different wire and this is a different wire. Okay, so if I use the wires as a straight, it will only affect one wire. Okay, so with the intertwining of the wires, or with the twisting of the wires, the this particular uh, 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 interference device, this particularly interference device is only able to interfere the signal for a very short amount of time. Okay, so actually the signal is carried by this is just a ground wire. So it is it with the introduction of intertwining the wire, so this particular device that is emitting your electromagnetic radiation is only able to access this wire for a shorter amount of time. So with the if it is able to, it is if it can if sorry, if this device is able to transmit some interference to this wire, but it will be only for short amount of time. So after here, the signal will automatically corrects itself. So there are many ways to correct it, but still I'm saying that because of the short amount of time that this particular device get for interference, the strength of the signal is not very not get weak, or the corruption of the bits is not in a very high or a big way. Okay, so if only here, because it is also very far away from there, and all the interference is on this ground wire. So if it is on the ground wire, there is no problem. Okay, so if you do more and more twists, okay, so if you do more twist per foot, it means that if you increase the frequency of this twisting or intertwining, the less interference will be there. Okay, so I'll show you here also. I think here is it. The degree of reduction is in noise interference. It determined by the number of turns per foot. Okay, so increasing the number of turns per foot decreases the noise interference. Okay, so that is why it's again a very cheaper way. So this twisted pair cable is a very cheaper way to tackle the noise interference problem. Okay, so noise interference means that a particular device is emitting any electromagnetic impulses to various wires that is there. Okay, so that is the main advantage. So it's a very, I would say it's a very clever way to avoid the interference without increasing the cost of the wire. Okay, so now this again is divided into two parts. The two parts are unshielded twisted pair and shielded twisted pair. However, you may have seen that there is still a little bit of interference that is there. So we again divided into two parts. The first part is your unshielded. So unshielded is divided into again five categories. So just see the name of the category. So the category one is mostly used for telephone wires. Two is used for internet. To there, where it can transfer the maximum speed of 4 Mbps, and then there is a 3 that can transfer the speed of 16 Mbps, and whenever you increase the category, the speed is increased. Okay, so if in your lab, I think you may have seen a category 5 cable in your experiment that is able to transfer 200 megabits. Okay, so keep in mind this is a bit. Okay, so most of the time, if something is written like mbps, it means megabits per second. Okay, so if it is written 4m, there is a big B. Okay, so if there is a big B, so it means megabytes per second. Okay, so there will be a difference. There is always a difference between these. Okay, so now the advantages of unshielded twisted pair. It's the first advantage if is it's very cheap. Okay, so because it's very cheap, I know that there is a shielding twisted pair also, but UTP is mostly used right now also. Okay, so in most of the cases you will see unshielded twisted pair is mostly used, avoiding the shielding twisted pair. I will tell you what is the problem with the shielded twisted pair, but UTP is mostly used with regarding irrespective of anything. Okay, irrespective of the extra functionality that is provided by STP, that is shielded twisted pair, still UTP is used very extensively. Okay, installation of unshielded twisted pair is easy. It's very easy. So you just twist the cables around each other, and you will see you can install anywhere. Okay, it can be used for high speed lines. Okay, so the disadvantages is that it is used for shorter distances, and because of attenuation means that the loss of signal. Okay, so I already told you that there is a loss of signal, that the interference will be there, but because of the intertwining of the wire, the interference will get it's not that much. It is there, but it is not that much. Okay, so now this is a unshielded twisted pair. You will see like there are four pairs of wires that are twisted together with each other or intertwined together with each other. In a similar way, there is a shielded twisted pair. Now shielded twisted pair has a defining advantage that it use. I'll show you that it will use this particular thing, and this particular thing is also called this is actually this mesh. This is referred to as outer conductor. So just let me see it as that. Sorry, it is referred to as a shield. Okay, it is referred to as a metal shield. Metal shield. Okay, so this is your jacket or your plastic cover, you already know. Okay, so keep in mind this is the outer side of the wire. Inside this it will contain a metal shield. Inside this metal shield it will contain these two wires. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, so now with the introduction of this metal shield, you will be thinking that uh, the interference with this, because we have included more protective layer, will be reduced, but actually it is not that. Okay, so again the attenuation, the loss of signal is decreased, but it is not decreased by that much that you will replace unshielded twisted pair with shielded twisted pair. Okay, so you see the characteristic of the cost of the shielded is not very high, not very low. Okay, so with the introduction of only one, it is not very high, not very low. It is just a little bit costlier than the unshielded twisted pair, but it is not very high, very high like fiber optic. Okay, so the installation is again easy because it's a twisted pair cable. It has a capacity, it has a higher capacity as compared to and shielded twisted pair, so more of the data can be transferred by using the shielded twisted pair, but it also has a higher attenuation. Okay, so because of the introduction of the metal shield, because of the introduction of the metal shield, when we are transferring the signals can easily uh, attenuated, because with the introduction of a metal, there is a little amount of heat when you are transferring something. Okay, so metal is a good conductor of heat, so that heat can be easily dissipated into that. So that is why the signal loss is more in shielded twisted pair. It's not more, but it is still there. So this particular, it is the disadvantage of the shielded twisted pair, but the twisted pair, that is the main disadvantage of the twisted pair, which is not be, I don't think it is that it is solved by the effect of shielding that much. Okay, it is solved little bit, but it is not solved like that much. So that is why I'm saying that most of the time you will see that we use unshielded twisted pair. It is the most popular twisted pair cable that we will use. Okay, so it is shielded, that provides a higher data transmission rate, that is possible, but the attenuation rate is also very high. Okay, so disadvantage, it is more expensive, and that is understandable. It is more expensive because it contains one more extra component, that is your metal shield, and it is also has a higher attenuation rate. Okay, so the attenuation rate means that the loss of the signal is not very less. So again, the loss of the signal remains the same like the unshielded one. It may be little bit less, but it is more or less the same thing. So that is why this particular unshielded twisted pair is more popular as compared to shielded twisted pair. Okay, so again, it is to again transfer more data. We also used another type of cable, that is coaxial cable. Okay, so coaxial cable is mostly used in your TVs. Okay, so you may have seen it. It is mostly used in your TVs. Okay, so I'll show you the cable. I think if you have a cable TV, you may have seen this cable. So this is the outer part, outer conductor, that is also referred to as a plastic cover or a jacket. In this jacket, there is a shield. There is a shield. This particular shield is also a layer of protective. It's also referred to as an insulator. Okay, so this is a shield or insulator to avoid any kind of interference. And then there is your outer conductor. Okay, so I think there is a this is plastic cover. This is a shield. Okay, so they have forgot about the conductor. Okay, so just wait a second. So the actual cable is like this one. So this one, and then there is another part. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there is another part. Sorry, I think I'll just increase the strength. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I think in the diagram there is something missing there. So the first part is your plastic cover, that is your jacket, and the second part is your insulator. So there are two insulator there, but it is only showing one insulator, so that is the problem. The third part is your metal shield or a shield, that is referred to as a conductor. Okay, so it is a conductor. Insulator means that it is not able to conduct anything. It is just like uh, it is a bad conductor. So, and then there is again some insulator, and inside this insulator there is a inner conductor. That is okay. So there are two insulator, keep that in mind. I think I made a mistake in the diagram there. So there are two insulator, and inside this insulator there is a conductor, and in the end there will be your wire. Okay, so if you have a cable TV or a set-top box, you may have seen this kind of wire. There will be a black wire inside the back wire. Uh, if you cut that wire, there will be a white part. Inside this white part there will be a metal conductor, and again there will be a white part, and then there will be a copper shield. Actually, this is the ideal coaxial cable. Now this coaxial cable is mostly used in because it this because of this two insulators, the loss or interference is very less. But still I will not call it that there is no interference, but this interference is very less. Okay, so it is divided into three parts, three categories. So the first category is RJ59, then RJ58, and then RJ11. Okay, so RJ59 is the most popular one that is used for your cable TV. RJ58, it's a little bit it is mostly used for thin ethernet. Okay, so thin ethernet means that the data speed is very it's not very high, it's not very less, so it is in between. So there is another one, that is your thick internet ethernet. Okay, so thick ethernet, it means that I'm using this cable for LAN. Okay, keep that in mind. There is a ethernet, it means I'm using this cable for a LAN. Thick ethernet means that um, uh, it contains more functionality than this one. Okay, so this is the different. These are the three popular categories that we use for uh, coaxial cable. Okay, so mostly this coaxial cable will be used for cable TV. This is most popularly known for this particular thing. Okay, so RG means radio government. Okay, so RG, so this is the particularly different rating. This is your radio government. Keep that in mind. Okay, the full form of RG is radio government. Okay, so now another wire, that types of wire is baseband coaxial cable and broadband. Okay, so there is a difference between baseband and a broadband. So in case of a baseband, this is a single wire. It is a single wire. So you just transmit the signal one way. Okay, so there are no signals that it is defined as a process of transmitting a signal at high speed. Okay, so you cannot send multiple signal, you cannot send multiple signal in the baseband transmission, but in broadband transmission you can send multiple signal at once. Okay, so this can be sent, this can be sent, this can be sent at the same time. Okay, it is defining at the process of transmission where multiple signal can be sent simultaneously. Okay, so that is why if you have seen that in your home there will be a broadband internet rather than a baseband internet. Okay, so baseband will definitely be used when you want to send a signal one way. One way means that like for TV. Okay, so there is only one way signal that your cable TV operator send to your home. Okay, so there is no signal that you send some signal to your cable TV. It does not happen. So that is why And cable TVs, most of the time you will see baseband transmission. Okay, so now the next one are the advantages of coaxial cable. The data speed is very high. It is better shielding as compared to twisted pair cable. Yes, exactly, because it contains two insulators, so that is why the shielding effect is more as compared to the shield to the twisted pair cable. It also provides a higher bandwidth, so most of the time it will be used for internet connections as well. So the disadvantage, it will be more expensive because it contains two insulators, and it contains more parts as compared to a twisted pair cable. If any fault occurs in the cable, causes a failure in the entire network. Okay, so this is the disadvantage of every wire. Okay, so if a wire is cut from if a wire is cut from a certain distance, so the whole entire network get disrupted. Okay, so that is the disadvantage of every wire. So I'll not, this is not limited to only coaxial one. Okay, so the next one is your fiber optic. So fiber optic is again okay, so I'll discuss this fiber optic because there is some part that I want to tell you that you may have studied in 10th class science. If you have studied something like Mirage or something like this one. Okay, so if you remember the concept of total internal reflection, that is fine, but I'll tell you about little bit about it also. Okay, so that particular concept of total internal reflection is used in this fiber optic cable. So the loss here is zero. Okay, so there is no loss of signal. That is why fiber optic communication is one of the fastest communication you will find. Okay, so if you have a fiber internet, if you have a fiber geo internet that has a fiber cable, that fiber cable has a speed of like 100 mbps, 200 mbps, you may have seen. Okay, so fiber, if there is a fiber optic, your internet provider will be able to provide more speed to your homes. Okay, so if in your particular broadband connections, what happens, they always use a coaxial cable. Okay, so always in a cable, because there are insulators and metal shield and metal things are used there. So because the wires get heated, so this heat means that the signal is lost due to this heat dissipation. Okay, so if the conductor or the conductor get heated, it means that the signal is lost it on the way. Okay, so they always know that there will be some loss. Okay, so the loss will be like 10% or 20%. We know that in traditional wires like coaxial twisted pair cable, there will be some loss due to some heat that is caused by the signal. But in fiber optic one, there is no loss. Okay, so I'll tell you why there is no loss in the next lecture. Okay, so there is a little bit of a concept. Okay, so thank you for listening, and you can move on to the next one. If you have any doubt, just let me know. I'll tell you about it. Just unmute your mic and ask me.